It's a while back now. It was in the 1960s. I was in Pennsylvania. We were fighting to get a collective bargaining piece of legislation for public workers, and AFSCME ran against CSEA for the representation rights to thousands and thousands of state employees. I didn't work the campaign because I was in Pennsylvania, but everybody in the union and AFSCME was acutely aware of the campaign, how important it was, and then we proceeded to get our butts kicked by CSEA. I would mention one thing, though. After the election, WRF called me to Washington and asked me to go in individually and sort of look around and see if we could find out the reasons that AFSCME lost. And I did that. I spent about 3 weeks up in New York talking to a lot of different people. People had supported AFSCME, people had supported CSEA, of which there were many more than supported AFSCME. And I came back and I said to WRF, the people voted for CSEA because they thought they were a better union. And it would be a good thing if we were able to work to affiliate with and be a partner with CSEA.
Then maybe you could talk a little more about that, how the relationship softened over time to the point where CSEA considered affiliating with AFSCME.
Well, we were able to get collective bargaining legislation all across the country. AFSCME was growing. As always, they were tough times for public workers in negotiations and otherwise. We had grown considerably, and I believe because of the tough times, because of the size of AFSCME, and of course, to a large extent, because of the expertise and skills of CSEA, meetings started to take place, meetings started to occur. We found that we really had the same goals and objectives, which were to best represent public workers. And over a course of time, the relation changed from one of antagonist to one of possible partners. And then eventually we had the affiliation.
What role did you play in making sure that it happened?
I voted for it. I voted for it, and of course I had said to WRF earlier, this would be an awfully good thing for our union, an affiliation. It would make us, or help make us, a powerhouse throughout America, indeed a powerhouse in probably the most important state in the United States. And so I prodded him, but it was a lot of people on both sides, CSEA and AFSCME. And I remember he called a special board meeting, and I was on the board then, came down, and was obviously 110% in favor of this affiliation coming together, this partnership coming together.
How important was the affiliation for AFSCME?
Oh, I think it was incredibly important. I think it put AFSCME on the map. Collective bargaining happening, representation rights happening for public workers, campaigns beginning all across the country. And here, AFSCME was in a position where they became a partner with the largest by far association of public workers that had really an excellent record in representing public workers in the Empire State, and I think it took us over the top in terms of being a large and integral and important part of the American labor movement.
How has the relationship between CSEA and AFSCME evolved over the years?
Oh, I think. Stand by.
Rolling again.
How has the relationship between CSEA and AFSCME evolved over the years?
Oh, I think it's become a real partnership where AFSCME has been able to utilize their skills, their expertise, their history in the public service. And I think AFSCME has been able to lend their support to whether they were possible raids on CSEA or whether or not they were organizing drives within CSEA. I think we have become really important partners in the political area, whether they were indeed gubernatorial elections or they were elections for mayors and heads of counties throughout New York. And so I think it developed in an area of new and real organizing, and developed particularly in the area of politics. It's been a good time.
There's just a few questions on history.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about some of the CSEA leaders you worked with over the past 25 years? Bill McGowan, Irving Flammenbaum, Joe McDermott, Danny Donahue, Mary Sullivan, George Bonclaraglio, Irene Carr, or any others?
We'll have to take those one at a time. Let's start with Irving Flammenbaum, who was a real leader in CSEA. I believe he came from the largest district in CSEA, was also a member of the International Executive Board of AFSCME, which is where I really came to know him. He was a very skilled individual, a canny individual, what I would sort of sum up as a real negotiator, not just externally with the members he represented with the county and places like that, or the state, but internally he was a very sophisticated negotiator, and on our board fought very hard for CSEA and the members of CSEA. Who else?
Bill McGowan?
Bill McGowan, I think, got elected, and I think began to at least change to a degree sort of the soul of CSEA. It had always been an association, and Bill, in a brusque but a wonderful way, was a rank and filer, a rank and file leader. He brought that kind of insight into the presidency of CSEA, more member input, more member participation, and I think he started, he didn't finish, but he started CSEA in the direction of being a real membership organization.
What about Joe McDermott?
I think Joe McDermott brought to CSEA an approach where he was able to, I think probably better than anyone, organize CSEA internally, bring about the various departments, bring about the various leaders in CSEA. I think he was a very, very bright, skilled individual that could bring people and ideas together. He had great technical skills and utilized them for CSEA, and became a real good leader for CSEA.
Danny Donahue.
I think Danny Donahue has, and of course he's still here, so I'll say kind things about Danny Donahue, of course, but you would have to. Danny embodies all of it. Rank and filer, embodies a lot of the skills and perception that Bill McGowan, yet he's also able to run the organization. He's able to lead in terms of organizing new direction for CSEA. So he has all the inside grounds of a rank and filer, and yet all the skills and abilities and expertise of a true professional in the field of representing public workers. He's got it all.
Mary Sullivan.
Mary Sullivan is a stellar performer. I mean, if Mary thinks you're right, if Mary thinks you are for CSEA, because that's where Mary's head is, that's where her heart is, then she's an ally and she's a friend. But the other side of the coin is if you're not, and you're a governor who's trying to push around state employees or a county exec, she's no ally of yours, and a tremendous spokesperson and fighter for CSEA. They got a good team, always have had.
George Buncleraglio.
George represents really sort of the heart of New York City, and brings to CSEA, which is a statewide organization, you know, whether you're in Schenectady or Rye or Albany or wherever, he brings that New York City piece to it, that urban piece, and vigorously represents that Big Apple, but in the realm of CSEA, and he brings an incredibly important aspect to the whole leadership quality of CSEA.
Irene Carr.
Irene Carr is a very respected officer of CSEA, but she also played a role in partnering and melding together CSEA and AFSCME. She became probably for both organizations the voice of women. She most certainly did in AFSCME, heading up the Women's Committee for any number of years. A very articulate, a very gentle person, and did play a major role in terms of the voice and the movement of women in our organization, and a tremendous asset to both CSEA and AFSCME.
Anyone else?
That's a tough question. I mean, there's about 240,000 of them up there. I mean, there's a lot of leaders, but you've covered, you know, the leaders that I have known and been closest to.
How has CSEA changed AFSCME over the 25 years?
Oh, I think they've added so many things to our organization. I think they've been around a long, long time, longer than AFSCME as a national union. They brought to it, I believe, a degree of maturity in terms of leadership, but yet an aggressive and progressive leadership as well. They're a very integral part of AFSCME. We feel, the leadership of AFSCME, that we can call upon CSEA to utilize their political skills, to utilize their organizational skills, and so they have become a real leading partner in this relationship, and so I think they have made AFSCME, and they're such an integral part of it, that they have made AFSCME really the battleship or the flagship for the American labor movement.
How do you think AFSCME has changed CSEA?
I think we probably helped in a way to continue what Bill McGowan started, so that, as I said, it was an association for so long. Associations have certain bylaws, rules, and things like that. AFSCME's a labor union, always has been. And so I think we have given that part of us to CSEA. I think it has helped really around CSEA, build CSEA into the really great movement it is in the state of New York.
How did you see the relationship between CSEA and DC 37 evolve over time?
I think it's. I think when Gottbaum was there, he had a great relationship with CSEA, particularly with the leaders. I don't know though that Vic saw it as one of equal partners. You'd have to know Victor to understand that. But now, and with Lillian Roberts now there, I think it's evolving more in the direction of equal partners, or even the fact that 37 understands, the leadership in 37 understands how powerful CSEA is politically in Albany. When you talk about that monumental state budget where monies go to the city of New York, that they work so close together. I've attended meetings with the leadership in the House, the leadership in the state Senate up there, that have been joint meetings of 37 or other affiliates in New York, as well as CSEA. And I think now, and I never saw those meetings before, and I think now it's more of a team concept with co-captains.
This is the last question. What are some of your most vivid personal memories of CSEA events and activities?
Well, I mean, there's always the rallies. You know, there's always the lobbying day up in the Capitol with a couple thousand people that are always very, very exciting. But I remember when I was first had this distant thought of running for president of AFSCME, that CSEA was the first organization, the first union to invite me outside of Pennsylvania. And it was Joe McDermott that did that and invited me to his district meeting. That was a big step for me. And I always think of that personally. And then I always think of the election that I ran after Jerry Werf died. And when CSEA decided to endorse me, I was incredibly grateful, but it gave me such a high in that election. And I wouldn't be sitting here doing this interview if it wasn't for CSEA.
Anything else you want to add that we didn't?
I think we just covered the whole book.